Welcome to this week's video blog on the law. In a previous blog, we discussed who had standing to challenge an unfair will in BC. That blog can be found here or on our YouTube channel. In this week's blog, I want to outline the general reason that a will might be successfully challenged in BC. That is, why it might be challenged. Before diving into that topic, however, I want to address a comment I hear from time to time, and that is, why should a will be challengeable at all? That is, why can't a testator, that is a person whose will it is, decide and have the final say, no matter what, on what happens with their money after they're dead? It's their money after all, right? There are several good answers to this question. One reason that is often given is that when a person does not provide for the adequate support of their spouse or children, it's government services such as disability or welfare that must support that dependent. And this shifts the burden of financial support from the testator to the taxpayer, which is all of us, because we are the ones that fund those services. Not everyone may agree with that reason, but if you watch some of our other blogs and understand some of the bizarre reasons people disinherit their family members, you might start to appreciate that perspective. Now, on with the reasons a person may challenge a will. Each of these reasons will be addressed in detail in other blogs we have produced, and you might refer to those blogs. The first general reason, however, is that the will is not valid at all. This can be the result of several things. The person writing the will may have been ill or otherwise lack capacity to understand what they were doing when the will was written and signed. On the other hand, the testator may have had the capacity to understand what they were doing, but simply have been grossly mistaken about what they were doing in the will. Also, the testator may have been under strong or what's called undue influence by another person, including a family member or other beneficiary, to write the will in a certain way. Lastly, the will may not have been properly drafted and signed. There are formal requirements for drafting and signing wills that are discussed in another blog, which must be followed for the will to be valid. BC courts do have some power to correct wills that are not properly drafted and signed, but this power is not limitless. Importantly, anyone who is in a prior will of a testator, or would be entitled to a portion of the estate if the will is not valid, can challenge the last will of somebody on these grounds. The second reason a will can be challenged in BC is that a valid will may be unfair to a spouse or child, even a financially independent adult child. By unfair, I mean the testator does not make adequate, fair provision for the proper maintenance and support of the person. We address in detail what is adequate provision for the support and maintenance of a spouse or child in another blog, but essentially the law looks to whether the testator has a legal or moral obligation, or both, to provide financial support, and if the will does not do so, the court can change the will. Indeed, the court's power to change a will in BC is broad, and the testator sometimes does not have the last say. I hope you've learned something about the law from this blog. Please feel free to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive notice of future weekly video blogs on the law. Thank you very much.